So we just got a free house, $50,000 in equity, and cash flow of about $100 a month. How? That is the BRRRR property. And yes, despite rising interest rates, despite the real estate market kind of being crazy and a mystery right now, you can still get BRRRR deals done. And so here's our story of how to get a free house. What's up, you guys? My name is Josh Baldovino, and I'm a marketer and real estate investor, and I help others make content that connects and build income through real estate. So if you're interested in either of those two things, make sure to subscribe. In today's story, I got a free house. Yes, it is real. It's not free because I put a lot of work into it, but cash in, I have zero money in the deal. And at this point now, we've also gained $50,000 in equity. And if you're thinking this is a scam or some kind of hoopla clickbait thing, it's not. It's called the BRRRR process. And what that means is you buy a house for cheaper than the market rate is. You then rehab the house. So you fix it up, new kitchen, bath, floors, paint, all that good stuff. You put a tenant in there and you rent it out. Once you rent it, you then refinance it because it's worth more because it's prettier. The bank will then give you a loan on that now shiny property, and then you can refinance and take your original capital back out, completely not have any of your own money left in the deal, and then you repeat that process. That's the BRRRR method. Now, a lot of people will say because interest rates are crazy, the market's crazy, things are a little more skeptical that it is harder to do. And I would completely agree, but harder does not mean impossible. So here's a story about how my dad and I were able to get a free house in 2022. So let's talk about where I found this deal first. I found this deal because of a text from an investor friend that I know who wholesales in Columbus. He actually previously used to be our hard money lender. Nick texted me and said, "Hey, I got this house that we just bought and closed on, but I don't have any bandwidth to do this project. Do you want to take it on? I'll give it to you for 90 grand. I'm probably one of a few that he sent this deal to first, but because I was his first hard money client, he's no longer a hard money lender, but he actually did a podcast with me. I'll link it down below. He sent me this deal, and a tenant has been living in here for a while. The basement and foundation needed some support, needed some waterproofing, and overall just cosmetic work to it as well. So let me just skip to the kitchens because everyone loves to look at kitchens. It's a pretty small house. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Here is the small kitchen. And so our plan was, if we bought this, new kitchen for sure, new floors, paint all over. Here's a living room, pretty tight, small living room. And there's 3 bedrooms and 1 bath that also had to be redone and also get some ventilation going. So that's a deal. We had to move pretty quickly because he wanted to get the deal off his plate, and time kills all deals. So we had to run our numbers, come up with comps. So a quick analysis of the property is that if I bought it for $90,000 and we thought about putting in $30,000 into rehab, I thought that it could be worth $140,000 after it's all said and done. Meaning that once you fix it up, the bank should appraise it for $140,000. Now you'll know that on a BRRRR, or maybe you don't know, once you fix up a property and you want to refinance, meaning take on a new loan on that property, most banks will loan up to 75% of the value of the property. Meaning if the bank thinks that the property is worth $140K, 75% of that is $108,000, which means that we could potentially get a loan for $108,000. And that's not a free house. If you think about it, if we bought it for 90, put in 30 for rehab, we're all in for 120, right? That means we're leaving about 12 to 15 grand in the deal. And we knew that going in. We were okay with that. So if you left $15,000 in the deal and we had rented it out for $1,250, again, this is all projections. This is not what actually happened. We would then cash flow $130,000. I'm sorry, $230 period per month. That'd be amazing, right? And the cash on cash return would be 16%. So at that number, and we'd also fund this through my dad's HELOC, which he secured last year, kind of as a revolving line of credit on his primary. We thought, hey, we were willing to park that money inside the deal and that this return was worth it for us. So what actually happened is the question now, right? We got inspection done. We got a contractor to then walk it preliminarily to give us just a quick ballpark bid, and we closed on the property. Now, this is where some of the troubles and delays begin. We knew that on closing on the property that the current tenant, unfortunately, one of the tenants that were living in there passed away due to COVID, not in the house, but in the hospital. And so because of that and the situation and changing of ownerships, we let them stay in the unit for 2 more months afterwards. And they were paying significantly under market rents. And so we basically just gave them a free place for a little bit. So after 60 days, to give them some time to cope, figure out the living situation, we then started rehab. Now, ordinarily, that initial contractor that I had to walk the property, we were going to go ahead and have them do the work. Unfortunately, after 2 months of waiting, their project queue became too filled. So we had to move with the plan B, which wasn't a full general contractor, but was a subcontractor that our property manager used for actually even some of our projects. And we said, hey, okay, we're willing to work directly with him and see if he can take on this bigger project. I itemized a scope of work for him, and, paint, floors, some of the finishing items, the punch items. He wouldn't do the backyard or the basement securing, so we had to sub out for those ones. But LVP throughout, carpet in the bedrooms, all that stuff that's on scope of work. He gave us a bid of $16,000 and a timeline of 6 to 8 weeks, and we're off to the races. That's where the problem begins. So initially, everything was good. He would send me frequent updates. He would answer all my questions, all of my calls, and I got everything that I wanted. And then, unfortunately, he said, hey, I guess not unfortunately, but at that time, I thought, fortunately, 7 weeks down the road, hey, we're done. And I said, great. So our property manager went to go check it out. And there's one big problem. I saw this kitchen, and if you notice, the kitchen floors are not kitchen floors. This is just subfloor. The floors in the living space here is not done, and it's very dirty. And throughout the house, it looked just like that. And I said, well, wait a minute. The floors were supposed to be refinished. It's supposed to be carpet in the bedrooms. Why are there no floors done? So that became the big problem. Basically, what had happened is that ordinarily, when he works with my property manager, he never does floors. So he agreed upon the scope of work, even though floors were listed in there at 16 grand. I came back and I said, I thought I'm getting floors. He said, are you kidding me? I can't do it at that price. And then I came back. It's like the he said, she said, right? Of, well, that's what I thought I was getting because you agreed to that on email here. So, how do we remedy the issue? I wasn't going to take him to small claims court. That would cost way more in legal fees than it would to even get my $5,000 it would take to put an LVP into that house. We got our property manager involved kind of as a hopeful third party arbitrary that did actually help a little bit. All I really wanted was him to just admit that there was a miscommunication and that he shouldn't have agreed upon that. And then we could have just hired somebody else. But he, for whatever reason, did not want to think that there was miscommunication. I ended up just saying, hey, can we get a price reduction? He didn't want to agree to a price reduction. And so at that point, I cut it a loss. And I said, fine, we're not going to do business with him again. And then I asked my property manager, can you find someone else to refinish the floors? And that was that. Bite the bullet. There are some things in real estate investing that just are going to hurt. And in this case, we actually had room in the budget because he didn't charge it for us originally, but the whole thing just made us lose time, was a big headache to deal with, and just not a good feeling. So, anyways, a couple weeks later, we got someone to redo the floors. All is well in the world. So now I'm sure at this point you're dying like, what are the after pictures, Josh? All right, definitely much nicer, as you can tell. Wider, brighter, and fun. Kitchen looks great. Granite looks great. Soba tiles all good. Floors here look nice. And next pictures. Here's how it's carpet upstairs in the bedrooms. It's a clean, basically brand new deck with the outsides. I want this picture here. The backyard is definitely a lot more cleaned up and all good to go. So it is a safe, livable house with subway tile throughout in the bathroom. And now it's pretty. It's good. And so with all of that work, here's how the numbers played out at the end. Here's how I got that check for $127,000. Is that we went, and I went with my buddy Jason over at Civic Lending, who I'll also link down below if you want to get a loan from him. He did our refinance. And so when we got the appraisal back for this house, actually, pause this right here if you want to have some fun and put down what you think in the comments is the appraisal. I'll give you. Okay. We got the house appraised for $180,000, which is $40,000 higher than we thought it would appraise for. So my dad and I were stoked. I mean, I still am super stoked on this. Which now, how does that affect our numbers? We also, I guess for the record, I'm more excited about the appraisal than I was for the rental. But we got the rents that I expected, which is $1,250. The appraisal, though, definitely surprised us. So we were happy with that. So here is how the numbers broke down at the very end. 90 for entire purchase, 35 for rehab now. Total project cost is 125.6, and then the after repair value is 180. So then this means that if we put in $125,000 and the loan amount was 135, which is again 75% of this 180. After some closing costs, we got a check back for $127,000, which means we got all of our original money back on this deal. What that means is that we actually got an infinite cash on cash return because we are getting money in every single month, which is $102 after saving for some things. But we didn't have any money left in the deal. So it's infinite because we're just printing money because we don't have any of our own money left in the deal. If you think about what expenses we are budgeting for, so again, it's $1,250 for the monthly income, and we're saving $75 for vacancy, $75 for capex. Our management takes $65, actually $60 a month, so this is a little high. Property taxes are $116, and then we're also saving for repairs. So a few things that we're saving for, and then insurance, and then we're also having an interest-only loan. So this is how we're calculating it. So all in all, we're getting $100 a month, not including what we're already saving for. We got all of our money back, but here's the real kicker, okay? It's the spread between what the property is worth versus what the loan amount is. And in this case, that's $45,000. So meaning that with all of this work, we gained $45,000 in equity, tax-free, because it's sitting in the house that we haven't actually taken income on yet. So we can eventually roll that into something else later on. But tell me, would you do this deal? Perfect, BRRRR. Yes, the cash flow is only $100 a month. So it's not, I mean, that's not going to set us free by any means. But the fact that we were able to basically create $45,000 out of thin air, it's pretty awesome to me. Don't you think so? I mean, all in all, yes, there are loads of headaches. It took some time, and it took me trying to figure out and really understanding how to dial in these numbers to make it work. But needless to say, you can still BRRRR in 2022 as long as you get the deal cheap enough and you budget for the whoopsies cost, because there is going to be a whoopsies cost. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what questions you have about this deal or about real estate investing in general. Also, I'd love to just know, would you do this deal? If you would, you can give me like a hell yes down below, or a running emoji if you wouldn't do this deal. I'd just be curious to see. Anyways, if you liked this video, you might also like this video because I talk about what we did to rehab a duplex in Columbus, break down all the numbers, more of the mistakes, and the learning. So hopefully that you don't make the same mistakes that we made, and hopefully save you a little bit of money too. If you're watching this point, thank you all so much. Please make sure to give this a like, subscribe, share it with somebody else who you want to invest with. And if you want to connect with me further, you can visit and see what other projects I'm working on my websites down below. Connect with social, all the little call to actions, that fun stuff. I want to be friends, so connect with me, DM me, comment. Let's chat it up. Anyways, see you guys in the next one. Cheers.